Hey everybody, just wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind for quite a while, and I never really touched on it before until I was talking to a lady at work, and I realized that as I was saying it, as it was coming out, that it was a very touchy subject, and even though she had not experienced the same level of abuse that I had, she was still her father was very critical. Her father was very demanding. That whole, I'm the man and you are a girl and therefore you suck and must do everything I say. That kind of attitude. And even though some people may not say that that's abuse, it is. It's neglecting the person the right to thrive, and it's neglecting the person the right to see themselves as a contributing human being, as a contributing person to society. Having someone tell you that just because you're a girl or a woman that you are less than. And that's completely unfair, because every person on the planet has something to contribute if just allowed to thrive on their own. My drug of choice these days. So as we were talking about it, she said, well, you know, he's my dad, and I love him because he's my dad. And I thought that was like the hokiest statement I'd ever heard. So I rebutted, and I said, that doesn't mean anything. Just because they're your parent doesn't mean that you have to love them. It doesn't mean that you are forced to love them. You have a choice. You can keep telling yourself that you love them, but ask yourself something. If they were just a regular person on the street and they came up to you and started doing the things to you that they had done to you when you were younger, if this was a complete stranger doing those exact same things, would you love them? And that was the question that I asked myself not many years ago, but several years ago, when I realized I didn't have to love my parents. And the fact that I did not make me a bad person. It made me a logical person. It made me a person able to see the difference between if a stranger had done the same thing to me, would I put up with that kind of stuff? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. Just because they're related to you, just because you had the misfortune of being raised in that household, does not mean that on any level do you have to love them. Love is a very precious thing, and it's a very personal thing, and it's a very sacred thing. You should never just hand it out freely just because you think that's something that you need to do. If you feel obligated to love someone, that's not love. That's obligation. Never take it upon yourself to give yourself permission to feel obligated. This is your life. These are your free choices. This is your free will. And everything in your life must conform to what you need, what you personally need. And if your needs are not being met, then you have to then the only obligation you have is to stop, reevaluate, and start again with something different. I've mentioned this before, but I think it is the most incredible advice I had ever received in my entire life. And that was from my therapist, Sheila, who told me, if you are not having any fun, stop. If what you are doing in your life is not good, you have every permission in the world to stop. You do not have to wait for anybody else's permission to make your life exactly the way you want it. And every little stepping stone and every little milestone that you make is profound. It is significant, and it is yours. You own it, and no one can take it away from you unless you give them the power. If you are at a point in your life where you are living alone and you're paying your own bills and you're going to see your therapist on your own and you're doing all of these things on your own, you are no longer obligated to answer to anyone else. You are the boss. You're the boss of your own life. When I realized that, my progress shot through the roof. Through the roof. Because then I could start critiquing myself in areas where I needed extra work. For instance, I used to bite my nails all the time because that was my OCD. I needed to do it. Tiny little bits of pieces of control that I started to regain in my life. When I put all of those other people out of my life, I was able to stop chewing my nails. I stopped binge eating as often. I still do every once in a while, and I catch myself and I can stop because I can recognize when I need to stop. Or sometimes I can even stop myself from starting. It's because I gave myself permission to just be alive. My insiders started to feel more comfortable and they started to feel more relaxed just watching me live my life. Now don't get me wrong, they still come out. They still come out, I wouldn't say on a regular basis. I don't switch very often throughout the day. And the ones that do come out are children. And that says something. It's because the child, if you switch more often into a child, that child is trying to grow. That child is trying to access the world and interpret the world in their own way so that they can grow. Just as we did. Even though our childhood was interrupted by some of the crap and bullshit that was going on, we still had to interpret life. We still had to work through that interpretation. Just know that you are a fantastic person. You did the one thing they weren't expecting you to do. You survived. You did it. You're here. Don't let certain things hold you back. Certain things like feeling an obligation to love someone when you know in your heart that you wouldn't normally. Don't put yourself in situations where you have to answer to that. It's your decision. You don't have to explain yourself or justify your actions to anyone. They don't live your life. Don't think twice that you have to justify your actions to anyone. Don't think twice that when someone says, well, I disagree with you, that you have to say, well, maybe I'm wrong. No. You stick to your convictions. You look them in the eye and say, I appreciate and I respect the fact that you do not agree with me, but this is still my opinion. The whole world is waiting for you. The whole world has been silently waiting for you to rejoin it. Whether you see it or not. Whether it's something you can accept right now or not. The world is a vast place with a lot of good people in it. There are a lot of good people out there. And a handful of assholes that told you that you were worthless and not even worth being on this planet. They were wrong. They were wrong. There's no other way to say that. There's no logical, no, I wouldn't say logical. There's no delicate way to say that they were just flat out wrong. I like you being in the world. Every single one of you. I like you being in the world. Yeah.